Hello, it's June 2022, and over the years I've talked extensively about how destructive and how it's used as a weapon, the liberal arts, theoretical pseudoscience of psychology against individuals and people. And I've even highlighted subtly how the liberal arts, theoretical pseudoscience of psychology is the biggest users of pharmaceuticals. And, believe it or not, real experimental pharmaceuticals. And there's a documentary called The Marketing of Madness, and I recommend everyone go watch it. There's the full length, unedited version out there. It's about 2.5 hours long. There's a shorter version, I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes. And then there's little pieces of it. And that's really telling about how the liberal arts, theoretical pseudoscience of psychology, is the biggest users of pharmaceuticals. Now, even, for example, what's been going on around the world the past few years, people have been really focusing on, pharmaceuticals and everything else, and that's just a drop in the bucket to what's really going on. What's happening, has been happening, that's nothing compared to what the liberal arts, theoretical pseudoscience of psychology has been doing for decades. Now, I want to highlight something that I even talked about in my first book, and I'm going to share a real quick story before I get into this actual video, and then you'll understand what this video is about. So I remember as a kid, I was maybe about 4 years old, and my mother had bought a bottle of fluoride, and you're supposed to put a couple of drops of this in water or juice or something, some beverage, and it was supposedly, allegedly, to help strengthen teeth and keep teeth healthy. And I remember I was in the kitchen alone, and because I was a tall, big kid, I was able to climb up on the counter and get above the fridge and get into the cupboard where this little bottle was. And I ended up, I think I drank the whole bottle, or most of it anyway. I put it in the glass with some water or juice or something. Anyway, long story short, I went into the bedroom where my mother was, and, all full of pride in myself, thinking I did something great, said, yeah, this is what I did. And then, long story short, I ended up being rushed to the hospital because on the back of the bottle, it's considered poison. Keep that in mind. So I had to have it taken out of my stomach, and that was a really unpleasant experience for me, especially at that age. Fluoride. Now, again, people talk about all these pharmaceuticals and drugs and everything else, but there's things that people are consuming every day and they don't have a clue. And I talked about in my first book, toothpaste, how many parts per million, and I can't remember off the top of my head. If I remember or I find it, I'll let you know. But it was off the charts compared to a glass of water. Now, toothpaste, you're not consuming it, but it's coming in contact with the skin in your mouth, and you can't help it through saliva. You're going to be consuming it a little bit anyway. So toothpaste is kind of a combination of drinking it and having it on your skin, which is what this video is about. And a lot of people are going to be completely shocked and surprised how this knowledge of it being harmful and how it absorbs the skin 6 times faster will just blow your mind. So,
Go ahead and start filming me. Alright, so here's the experiment. We got 2 bowls filled with tap water. We have a student's hand sitting in one of the bowls, okay, for the last 5 minutes or so. Alright? We're going to test now to see control group. And what is this? Well, I mean, what group though? Test group. And what's the independent variable? No. The hand. The hand is the independent variable. Now, go ahead and take your hand out. You're going to take a measurement from each. Scoop this up. I'll keep this sort to the left. I'll keep this sort to the right. Tell you what, and I got one on the very far right. This one came from the outside drinking water. All right, this will turn dark yellow if there's a lot of chlorine in it. Now, lighter yellow if there's a little bit of chlorine in it, and it will have no color effect if there's no chlorine in it. Start off with the drinking water. This is the tap, and here's the one that the kid's hand was in. All right, give him a little shake. Uh-oh, what happened to the chlorine that the kid's hand was in? Why did it not change color? Her skin absorbed it. Your skin absorbs chlorine 6 times faster than if you were to actually drink the chlorine water. And as we talked about, chlorine is a carcinogen. It causes cancer. It's been linked to heart disease, to strokes. It's not good stuff. If you compare the other one, the tap water has the most amount of chlorine in it. And the one that went through the filter, we need to change the filter out of that drinking water. It's still yellow, which means it's still chlorinated. Now, the reason we chlorinate is because you'd actually die much quicker than the cancer that this is giving you if you didn't chlorinate, because you have bacteria, amoebas, and parasites. You'd probably die of explosive diarrhea if we weren't dumping massive amounts of chlorine into our water supply. But it is kind of laughable that we tell kids when they get out of the pool to go wash off the chlorine using tap water. All right, thank you.
Wow. Tell me that just didn't wow you. Chlorine, which is harmful, absorbs through the skin 6 times faster than if you were to, for example, consume it, whether it be in a food or a drink. That's insanity. If I remember correctly, it was I can't remember, it was fluoride that was 1,400 parts per million in toothpaste, and that's in the water, as well as chlorine. And I can't remember the chlorine, but just I want you to think about this. Everyone's focused on what's been happening, for example, the past few years, and all up in arms about that. But the liberal arts, theoretical pseudoscience of psychology, alleged medications, crickets, and stuff like this, crickets. You know what else people don't talk too much about? People rant about, say, for example, what's been going on for the past few years and saying, that's wrong. But crickets on murdering babies through something that's called abortion, that's fine. Everyone has their choice, right? Or people will rant about children being exposed to what's been going on for the past few years, but crickets on fluoride and chlorine. And people will rant about leaving the children alone, and crickets on everything else. Just things to think about. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.